This is Franchise Today, brought to you by FRM Solutions, providers of the best-in-class software solutions for franchise relationship management. Franchise Today is your destination for weekly information, conversations, and interviews with accomplished industry leaders, all of whom share best practices for sustainable growth and sensible franchising. Here now, your host, Stan Friedman, to kick off this week's podcast.
Today is Wednesday, June 12th, 2024. I'm Stan Friedman, and this is Franchise Today. This week, we're joined by another icon in the franchise world and board member of the IFA, as we'll be joined by Tom Krouse, CEO of Donato's Pizza. As a brand and company, Donato's is rich in both culture and history, and as you'll hear when Tom joins me, he talks a lot about how important that is to this brand's leadership as the second generation in the family's business and the third generation already in the wings. But first, my sincere thanks again to Tim Murphy for sharing the Boomers Parks story with us last week. Talk about rich history and experience. While Boomers itself is a fledgling brand, Tim's rich history and experience goes back an awful long way in both food and beverage as well as franchising. And while talking about rich history and experience, these two episodes back-to-back continue to raise the bar from a content perspective, which makes me extremely proud to present them. And just ahead of my conversation with Tom Krouse, a reminder to hit the website at franchisetodaypodcast.com to leave a review, find show notes, and to make guest recommendations. I'm always happy to hear from you, and your thoughts, comments, and suggestions are both invited as well as appreciated. Okay, with all of that said, this is Franchise Today. I'm Stan Friedman. A quick break here, and I'll return in 2 minutes or less with Tom Krouse, CEO at Donato's Pizza, who will share some breaking news with us during our conversation. Don't go away.
Franchise Today will be right back, but first, a word from our sponsors.
We are all familiar with Vistage, YPO, and EO. Well, now comes Zor Forum, a somewhat similar type of executive group, but this one comes with a twist. Zor Forum groups are exclusively for franchisors. Imagine a peer group for sharing and networking on a platform built exclusively for franchise executives. Zor Forum members are afforded unparalleled access to best practices and some of the brightest minds within the franchising world through regular meetings and a dedicated communications platform. In this post-COVID world, a franchise-specific mastermind or peer group is an endeavor worth making time for. Zor Forum groups of 6 to 10 will bring leaders together that are in similar situations, but with exclusivity in terms of their competitive sets, so that each can openly help others benefit from their respective knowledge, perspective, and experience with no fear of competitive loss. Network, learn, strategize, and remain motivated along your journey. Join a peer group, not just any peer group. Join the only one designed for emerging franchisors. Join Zor Forum. Learn more at zorforum.com. That's www.zorforum.com. Donato's is a family-owned business that after 60 years is growing and innovating now more than ever. They boast more than 375 locations in 22 states and a team of people who not only care deeply about delivering premium pizza, but care even more about the communities that they serve. As CEO, Tom is charged with ensuring that their vision is clear and that they give more than they receive. Tom was a burger guy before becoming a pizza guy, and his history and experience date back to the Where's the Beef glory days at Wendy's International. He's passionate about marketing and consumer behavior, and he's here today to dish on it all. Tom Krouse, welcome to Franchise Today.
Stan, it is such a pleasure to be here, and such an opportunity to talk to you. I'm excited.
Well, I feel the same way. You're the rock star, my friend, not me.
No.
It's round two for me. I have had the pleasure of having a conversation on Franchise Today a couple of years back with Jane Grody-Abel and learned about the rich history of her dad and the family business and what a business it is. And we're going to talk about all of that and unpack it again today. But we have to do what we do first every week on Franchise Today, and that's roll the tape back on the guest. Tom, you, the person, how did franchising find you, and what were you doing when it did?
Boy, that's a good way to put it. Franchising did find me. I was always kind of fascinated with consumer behavior and customers, and very quickly got involved in the restaurant business. So as a young man, I worked for an advertising agency and we handled a couple of small restaurant accounts. I went off and started my own PR firm. And we started by we were the first PR only account for a McDonald's co-op back in the late 80s. So, they had full service ad agencies that handled their advertising and PR. We were the first only PR firm that handled that Columbus co-op. And guess why? Because we were right smack dab in the heart of Wendy's International, and McDonald's kind of wanted to stick it to Wendy's a little bit and get some PR in the home market of Wendy's. Kind of poking the bear, actually. But
that's a great way to start, though.
I know, isn't it? And so I really fell in love with franchising through the McDonald's system. Some amazing owner operators in that system. We ended up taking, I think we got up to like 4 to 5 different co-ops. And then fast forward, and then I started working for Wendy's, and Jim Neer was our leader for a long time. And he was an amazing franchisee before he became the CEO at Wendy's. So I've been touched by the franchising wand a number of times. And you ask me how it found me. It's really because I'm just fascinated with people, consumer behavior, what motivates people, what motivates franchisees. And it's a business that's really driven by people. So I love it.
Your brand is rich in culture, and we're going to get into more of that. But I want to first touch some of the milestones that led to where you sit today. So walk us through some of those mainstay events that were milestones in your memory and in your history.
In Donato's or overall?
Overall, from the time you got into franchising.
Gosh, yeah. Well, I think when I started working for Wendy's, that was in the late 80s. Wendy's was at a kind of a low point. It was the post "Where's the beef" hangover. And I think Wendy's leadership kind of thought that we can do no wrong. Boy, this is magic. This "Where's the beef" thing. It really put us on the map. And of course, the humility of it is you've got to stay focused on the customer. And so the first milestone, I think, for my career was to be able to be a part of we'll call it comeback, but Wendy's growth during the Dave Thomas era, the Dave Thomas campaign era. And I got to work with some amazing people. I got to work very, very directly with Dave himself. I mean, I was a lowly marketing person, but I was able to see firsthand what a founder-led company is all about and understand how passion drives a business, a restaurant business, a franchise business by watching Dave. It was amazing. And we went from, I think their stock was, when I started there, was in $3 or something like that. And it was just kind of this slow build through strategy and working with some great people. So I would call that definitely a milestone. Coming over to Donato's, so this was 24 years ago. I was second in command in terms of marketing at Wendy's, and I was happy. I love the culture, love the product, love everything about the company. McDonald's had bought Donato's back in '99, and they were building their team and their plan to grow and be successful. They had bought Chipotle, Boston Market, and Donato's, kind of a diversification strategy. My CMO at the time at Wendy's was only 5 years older than me. So I thought, gosh, it may be forever before I get a chance to be the CMO. And so they kind of convinced me. I took the chance to work for, yes, another quality brand. Yes, a founder-led brand, a brand in Columbus, Ohio. It had a lot of the same cultural elements. So lured me over to Donato's. As I say it, Stan, my real milestones are, first I fell in love with the pizza. Then I fell in love with the job offer. Then I fell in love with the company. And then I fell in love with the founder's daughter, who's Jane, who you interviewed the last time. So those are the real milestones.
Well, what an awesome story that is. And it's not every day that McDonald's buys your company, but it's not every day either that you get to buy it back. And I can't wait to get to that part of the story, but we'll park that on the side for a moment and kind of walk up to it. So how did that happen? How did you wind up in love with the boss's daughter? That's kind of risky business.
Well, yeah. That was, and somebody told me, make sure you tell everybody the timeline on that. I was named CEO in 2010. We fell in love 2 years later and got married in 2014, just so everybody knows. For the record. for the record, but we let it sit for about 6 months before we told her dad. And when we sat down, we didn't know what his reaction was going to be. And gosh, he had tears in his eyes. He was so happy. Now, I'm convinced he was also happy because he knew that we'd be thinking about pizza 24/7, but he was also happy for us as humans. It was kind of a crazy time during the McDonald's days. And that was a 4-year time period that, while we were growing with McDonald's was really struggling during that particular 4-year time period. And Jack Greenberg was removed as the CEO. Jim Cantalupo came in. He made the decision that he wanted to get out of all these, they called us a partner brand, along with Chipotle and Boston Market. We were partner brands. And he said, let's get focused on the basics. And so the family got together and said, let's buy it back. And yeah, you don't often get to see a story like that. The first transaction was amazing enough. And the second transaction was just incredible. And we had a chance to kind of, drive the future. And that was in 2000. That was the end of 2003. all of the senior leadership had left the company because of all the rumors that maybe McDonald's was going to shut the whole thing down. Maybe this, maybe that. And maybe foolishly so, but I stayed on to try to help Jane, and I really kind of took over to run the company because Jim was in the process of trying to buy it back. Our CEO from McDonald's had been let go. The CFO was trying to take it apart. It was a wild time. The best thing about it, though, Stan, is at the store level, nobody knew the difference. We had a great culture. Everybody's focused on product. While clouds were swirling above, the stores were doing a great job. And so when we got it back, Jim and Jane and I kind of were the leadership team, and I handled the franchise for a while. We started a consumer packaged goods division because we were leveraging the asset we had that we manufacture our own dough here.
Is that Jane's dough?
That's Jane's dough, yeah. And we were approached by Kroger one day. One of the presidents said, we'd like to consider doing Donatos inside Kroger. And Jim and I both said, yeah, for sure. Of course, we got in the parking lot and said, how are we going to do that? I don't know. We'll figure it out. And 2 years later, we're producing 5 million pizzas for Kroger. And then we developed a frozen pizza brand called Sonoma Flatbreads. It was a gluten-free brand. And we ended up being in 20,000 points of distribution in just about every major retailer. Now, it was a good business. It wasn't a great business. It's a very tight margin business. And the restaurant side was really where all the growth was for us. And so we made a decision about 4 or 5 years ago to stay focused just on the restaurant. So we closed down that division. But after we bought it back from McDonald's, we focused on retooling the restaurant concept, make sure the financial model was strong so the franchise partner had a good return on their investment, make sure that we were strengthening the culture, and we started to grow. And we were on a path really to be $1 billion company here in the next 5 years, I would say. And we got a great succession plan in place.
It sounds like you took some lessons from the McDonald's experience in that they seemed a bit distracted by their partner brands and decided to divest. And you with Jane's Dough, it sounds like, came to a pretty similar conclusion about where your focus ought to be.
Yeah, that's a great observation.
I'm curious about the cultural rift, though. And today's world, we're seeing so much change in terms of founder-driven, founder-operated and owned brands being swallowed up not only by private equity, but by other brands underneath the umbrellas of other private equity. And I always worry about the culture piece. How do you maintain that? And you just kind of told me a lot of people just scattered, didn't they?
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I think there's a reluctance to slow down and understand two things: understand the business model, understand the category. Pizza is a different category than burgers. I learned it coming over from Wendy's, even though I thought I knew everything. Of course, there's just differences that you really have to pause and understand about the business and the business model. And then, like you said, what does the culture stand for? And I think probably the thing that is the biggest threat for culture is a timeline that is built on speed. Rather than letting a schedule dictate what your growth is going to be, I think success of the milestones that you hit is really what dictates what your growth is going to be. Now, don't get me wrong. We've got plans and we know how many we think we can build over the next 5-10 years, but we got to be successful with the next one and the next one and the next franchise partner that comes on and the next franchise partner. So, you talk about culture. I think speed kills sometimes. And I think you go faster when you slow down and understand, first of all, who are we and what makes success in this business? And from there, then you can really accelerate. But
I think that great quickening was accelerated too by COVID, wasn't it?
that's for sure. We were fortunate though, because our industry, the pizza category specifically, is built for convenience. We've been delivering for 61 years. Actually, today is our 61st anniversary. I just realized this morning.
The anniversary.
Thank you. But yeah, we've been delivering for a long time, and people wanted nutritional food. They wanted value, and they wanted to be able to eat in their homes. So that helped us.
Well, you were one of the, I think, most fortunate categories through COVID in that a large percentage of your revenue probably is off-premise versus on-site. Would that be correct?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's about 85 to 90% is consumed off-premise.
So you were built for the pandemic. I think you and Chicken Wings probably fared best in all the conversations that I've had with executives post-COVID. Those two categories, they really didn't have to pivot. They just had to tweak.
Exactly. Yeah.
So take us on from the COVID years to now. How much changed in COVID, and how much of those changes are still a part of the business today?
There were good changes and there were challenges. I think one factor for us is, like you just mentioned, the idea of food delivered to homes. It was huge, and that whole category exploded. So whereas it used to be, it was just us and maybe a couple other categories that delivered food, now we're competing against a lot of different restaurants. So that really forced us to sharpen our saw on our off-premise game. So technology has been and will continue to be a facilitator for us. Our online ordering right now, only 10% of our orders are taken over the telephone or at the front counter. The rest is done online. So that's a big change for us. The labor market has been a challenge. I'm not as concerned about it now. The delivery driver market has changed just because there's so many job opportunities, and we've had to look at, we weren't as flexible with scheduling as we needed to be. We weren't providing the kind of compensation and benefits that we need to. So that was a change for us. But overall, I think we're staffing fine. I think the discipline, and this isn't just in our company or our category. I've talked to a lot of other CEOs in the restaurant business. We all we had to do what we had to do to survive. So we lost a lot of discipline in some of the fundamentals of the business. And so post-COVID, we've really spent the last couple of years just trying to get our training back on track, get our overall processes, making sure that we're there for the customer. So it's when you're not that patient like I am sometimes, you get a little frustrated, like, well, this is how we've always done it. But you had people that were traumatized through all of this, and it's kind of a different world. And what's important to people, what's important to people that work for us has changed, and we got to listen. So we've been doing a lot of roundtables and listening to our associates we think we know the answer because we've been in this business a long time, and we find out, well, gosh, no, what's important to them may not be what has been in the past. So really got to be a good listener.
Kind of funny that you bring back to my memory now a conversation that I had post-COVID with a guy named Jim Jackson. You know Jim?
Yeah, sure do.
So Jim is the CEO, or the founder and CEO maybe of Hungry Howie's. And he told me that one of the most significant post-COVID changes came from one of the most insignificant, tiny little things that he did that changed their relationship, as you're discussing, with their consumers in a huge and monumental way. You want to guess what that was?
Gosh, tell me.
A sticker.
Oh, is that right?
Putting a Hungry Howie's logoed sticker on the box that sealed the box.
Right.
And so when the driver brought the food to the nervous consumer that was really scared about freshness and letting this pizza into my house and who touched it and whatever, the box was sealed. Yeah. He said that tiny little thing made a bigger difference than all the other things collectively that they'd done. So anybody who says don't sweat the small stuff, go talk to Jim. He'll straighten you out in a hurry.
That is it's a business of a lot of small stuff. That's for sure.
Well, especially when you're in a business like food and it's penny profits, all the little things that matter, right?
It really is. It really is.
I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break, pay some bills. And when we come back, let's talk more about the business today and about your future plans, which are going to, I'm certain, have some impact on the business as well. We're talking today with Tom Krouse, CEO of Donato's Pizza, and we'll be right back.
Franchise Today will be right back. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Franchise Today is brought to you by FRM Solutions, offering the only CRM tool built exclusively for franchising that lets you have it your way. Whether you're a single brand needing professional tools across departments or a portfolio of brands needing franchise-specific CRM across the enterprise, either way, FRM satisfies the needs of many with the power of one. That's right, one single instance of FRM is all it takes across departments or across brands. So if you've had it with inflexible, one-size-fits-all CRM, end your frustration today. FRM offers robust dashboarding, tailored reporting, and with open APIs, FRM pushes, pulls, and integrates with other databases, providing you with a single source of truth. Don't just take my word for it. Visit them at frmsolutions.com and order up a demo today. And we are back with Tom Krouse, CEO of Donato's Pizza. At least he is right now, Tom. Rumor has it that you may be thinking about retiring sometime soon. Any truth to that?
No way. That can't possibly be. Yes, I am. On my 65th birthday, I'm going to hand the baton over to my successor, a guy named Kevin King.
Oh, wow. Kevin King of Smoothie King fame?
That's right.
Congratulations.
I know. We've had a number of folks that were potential successors. We're family owned. We have third generation involved in the business that at some point can and hopefully will take over the reins when the time is right. So we really needed to make sure we had the right person in place. And I'm telling you, we kind of shot for the moon with Kevin. And Kevin, for those who don't know, Kevin actually started with us back in the 90s. He started our franchise department. So he was a young buck who was involved. He had come out of college and worked for Domino's Pizza for a while and then came and started our franchise department. He had a development when we bought the company back and we had stopped growing. So he moved on and he went on to Papa Murphy's and helped them with a very successful growth trajectory. And then, as you know, at Smoothie King, same thing. And the great thing, there are a lot of great things about Kevin, but the great thing about him is he has the best of both worlds, which you need in a company like ours. One is a deep understanding, and you talked about it earlier, about the culture of the company. If you're going to grow a company, you have to really understand what that's all about. And since he worked here years ago, he was actually roommates with our son of the founder of the company in college. I mean, he knows the family. He knows what's important to our cultural framework and all that. And he's got the experience on how to grow the business. So we were super lucky to bring him in. We had a bit of a timeline in our minds. Frankly, he's way ahead of schedule and we're kind of looking at each other like we don't need too many people in the corner here taking up oxygen. So yes, so it is true. I am retiring from Donato's.
Well, there's some breaking news for you on Franchise
There you go.
Today. You've just been on the IFA board for about a year or two now as well. Is that about right?
I think it's a couple years. Yeah.
So are you going to step away from that as well?
No, I'm talking to Matt. I'm going to stay on the board, actually having conversations with a couple of companies that are in the franchising space about some advisory positions. So I'm too ingrained in franchising to leave it completely. I just don't have the specifics laid out. So, but I'll stay on the board. Got a lot of great things going on at the IFA. So I'm excited about that.
Absolutely. In fact, the last time I had my conversation with Jane, we were talking about you during that conversation, just as you were entering the IFA leaderships. You had to join. You hadn't yet joined the board, but you were on your way, I think, at the next convention.
Well, they haven't kicked me out yet, so that's good.
Well, talk about what you see now in this post-COVID world. You're hanging it up, but you're leaving your company in the capable hands of Kevin King. Is Jane going to remain involved at all in the business, or is she backing away with you?
I don't think there's ever a chance that she'll be able to completely back away. I'm hoping we'll be able to do a little more travel, and we'll actually have a relationship that doesn't involve talking about the P&L at the dinner table, maybe. I don't know. But I'm excited about the pizza category, number one. And then obviously I'm excited about our place in it. Like we were talking about, that the pizza category and pizza has so many things going for it that fit all the primary consumer trends. Whether you're talking about value, you can have 3 people share a pizza for $16. That's a heck of a value for food. Whether you're talking health orientation, you We've got a cauliflower crust pizza, and we've got some great healthful options when you're talking about variety. It just has so many things going for it. And then the convenience factor of, like we said, that something that's been important to pizza and important to us forever, and that's delivery. So the category, in fact, I think 10 years ago it was 35 billion, and now it's closer to 50 billion. It just continues to grow and grow and grow. So the category is good. I'm excited about some of the new young competitors that are popping up on a regional basis or on a local basis, because I think they're kind of up in the game for quality, and I think that's good for our whole category. So I actually, unlike others, I'm excited about the competition because I think it makes us all get better. So I see it as real kind of a blue ocean for us in the category. For Donato's, Stan, we have two big things that we've accomplished in the last 5 years that set us up for the growth. The first was always had people that were interested in Donato's because of the quality and because of, we'll say, the culture or the people. Our average cash flow wasn't as good as it needed to be, so we really focused on that, and we've been able to double the average profitability of a Donato's franchise in the last 10 years. So we've got a cash flow or return that's as good, if not better, than any of our competitors, which is great. So that kind of opens that piece up. The second piece that really held us back from growing too much is we always had to pretty much be a regional brand, because my father-in-law, who I love, created a pizza that is the best tasting pizza in the industry. And that's not just me saying it. You can look at all the research and you'll always see that customers rate us as number one. A lot of what goes into that is a fanatical approach to the ingredients. So just about everything on our pizza is customized. Our pepperoni is a unique blend that's 35% leaner than competition, so it cups up and tastes a certain way. The cheese is smoked, aged provolone cheese that's aged 21 days, and it has a little feathering on the cheese so it melts a certain way. These are all the things that Jim says we have to make for a great pizza. The tough part about, our dough is unique. We make it ourselves. The tough part about it is you can't just open up a pizza shop in Reno, Nevada, because you just don't have distribution channels. Whereas a lot of people in the pizza business, they'll call up their food distributor and say, send me some cheese, and we're in the pizza business. So we consequently, forever, we had to say no to about 80% of the inquiries that came in to us because we didn't have the regional reach. About 5 years ago, we started a test with a partnership with Red Robin Gourmet Burgers. They were looking for a strategy to help them with their off-premise and to reinforce their family positioning. We were struggling with distribution and scaling, so we tested with them. And now through that partnership, our ingredients are in 26 distribution centers across the country, and therefore we're able to franchise everywhere. So we're opening in Texas this year for the first time. We'll have a couple stores in Oklahoma. We've always been in the Midwest, and now we're selling franchise. Now, it's not willy-nilly. We're being strategic about it, but it really unlocked our ability to grow. So there's no reason that we're not going to be able to take this and triple the size of the company in a short period of time. We don't have a timeline that, like I said before, that's driven by Wall Street or anybody else. We're still family owned. So we got to make sure Texas is successful. We're going to do everything we can to make sure it is. And then we'll be in St. Louis, and we'll be in Wisconsin, and it's
Atlanta,
the future. In Atlanta. Okay. I gotcha.
I had the good fortune of eating a Donato's pizza back in the 90s when McDonald's purchased Donato's and took the McDonald's on the corner of Highway 92 and Sandy Plains Road in Roswell, Georgia, and converted it to a Donato's.
That's right.
And it was a memory. I'm a native New Yorker. I know what New York pizza tastes like, and I never had a pizza out of New York that tasted as good as anything I ate when I ate that Donato's pie.
Oh, man, I'll pay you for the rights to take that clip and put it somewhere in a commercial. Stan Friedman says, but
Amen.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, we're filling out Atlanta now. We've got a couple locations now, and we are actively involved in some development agreements right now. So there will be more.
Bring it on. I think we're rounding the corner here, Tom, where pretty soon I'm going to be asking you for contact info. What have I not asked you, though, that you wished I might have?
Maybe I would love to just talk briefly about Jim's work on automation. It's kind of interesting. I think your listeners would like.
I think I remember reading something about him in a pepperoni machine.
Yep.
Let's talk about it.
Okay. So you talked about some of the impact of COVID, and I think we talked about the labor situation, and everybody's talking about automation. For us, automation is really not about replacing jobs, because we're not going to do that, but we do want to take some of the more monotonous, time-consuming tasks and automate them so that we can and shift those resources to the other soft skill type jobs and things like that. But our founder, Jim Grody, who's in his early 80s, actually 80, he's still at it. He has an innovation center about a quarter mile from here where he's been developing automated equipment, really revolutionized the pizza industry. And I think we're going to be one of his good customers, but we have a number of the automatic pizza saucers in our stores right now. We're looking at a pepperoni slicing machine that we have in test. We're looking at a number of other things, but it's exciting to see that innovation has always been a part of our culture, and to see it continue and to see Jim continue to lead it. It's really pretty cool.
That's fabulous. What about benevolence? I know that your company is rich in giving back, and we didn't touch on that. So why don't we, before I go to contact info, ask you to talk about corporate giving?
A couple of years ago, my wife, Jane, who's our chairwoman of the board and chief purpose officer, really led the charge to focus our giving effort and established our Donato's Foundation, our family foundation, which supports key pillars, and our franchise partners can support those key pillars of health, housing, homelessness. And she's been kind of the leading charge on that. And I think this year we'll do close to $600,000 in support in those key pillars. And it's been also exciting because it gives our people a chance to get involved. And we've had hundreds and hundreds of volunteer hours with our teams helping support those pillars. So really excited about that.
Fantastic. Well, we're kind of at the finish line, Tom, and I asked you for one more and you gave it to me. So I've got to ask you now for contact info. There may be some in this audience that might have opportunities for you to benefit from and from them to benefit from meeting you. So how do they find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn, Tom Krouse, Krouse. I write a weekly little leadership lesson called Corner Piece, Leadership Insights from a Pizza Guy. So you can get that. You don't even have to subscribe, or you can find me on email at tkrause@donatos.com.
This has been a real pleasure, Tom, and I'm sorry to say that I waited this long to find you. But I'm glad we got to do this.
Well, we'll stay in touch for sure, Stan. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Tom Krouse, CEO of Donato's Pizza, at least for now, but not leaving franchising anytime soon. It's a real pleasure having you, Tom, and I've really enjoyed getting to know you.
Great. Thanks, Stan. Thanks for what you do.
Well, that's a wrap for this week. Next week, I'll be joined by Erin Fletter, founder and CEO of Sticky Fingers Cooking Schools, another rising star in franchising. Until then, I'm Stan Friedman, wishing you the best, the very best of all things franchising, and Franchise Today is out.
Franchise Today is a production of FRM Solutions, providing best-in-class CRM tools to empower relationships with prospective and existing franchisees. Find them online at frmsolutions.com. Join Stan every Wednesday at noon Eastern for another episode of Franchise Today.
When you're part of a military family, you understand sacrifice and support. At American Public University, we honor your dedication by extending our military tuition savings to your extended family. Parents, spouses, legal partners, siblings, and dependents all qualify for APU's preferred military rate of just $250 per credit hour for undergraduate and master's level programs. American Public University. Value for the whole family. Learn more at apu.apus.edu/military.